With the information that we do have, it's the police came to the door, they opened the door, they saw him with the quote-unquote weapons or weapon. The whole interaction within itself between the police officer and the guy that lost his life. Off the voice note, they said drop the weapon, and you hear the
straight away. I just didn't get it, man. It's getting boring, bro. It's getting boring. I didn't get it. I honestly do not get it, because whether or not, I don't understand what we're meant to do. A lot of people don't take that into account. Every day we're partying, we don't realize what's actually going up in here, and we forget simple things like how we're actually feeling. How many people have asked each other, like, properly, how are you doing?
You are now listening to the Blacker the Berry, the sweeter the juice.
Well, let's record, I think.
You don't have to sell.
This will be okay?
I can increase you. Yeah.
Yeah, you should be good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, fine. Yes. Yeah, how was everyone's day, firstly? Very airy.
What? What do you say?
Airy.
What does that mean?
It means like it's a ghostly atmosphere.
Oh, is it because of the weather or just?
I don't know if you know.
Nah, I was just home, bro.
Jump questions, bro.
Home, made some food. You know what I'm saying? I've been cooking a lot more recently. I think it's becoming my new therapy. To be honest,
Practicing for a house husband.
No. I just been enjoying making food, making I feel like you realize you're becoming better at cooking when when you start cooking, you need to watch a lot of videos.
Yeah.
Or to do the recipes properly. Then when it starts for me, the transition was from that to kind of being able to make things without looking at the videos anymore. And then from that, the transition was it's I just kind of know what to do when I'm in the kitchen, if that makes sense. Okay, this needs a little bit of water, low heat, high heat, what seasonings I need to put in without looking at anything.
Amen.
That kind of thing. So it's
yeah. It's not easy, bro.
Can you cook your traditional food?
Of course.
Yeah.
Period.
Are you sure?
Yeah. That's what I actually make. That's how I started, actually. That was what the initial interest was when it came to cooking, was making things that I enjoy eating, that I grew up eating, right? But obviously because I don't live with my family anymore, I can't eat it unless I make it.
Yeah.
Obviously I can buy it, but it's
can't wait on your mama.
Exactly. So it's that was actually how I would say I kind of got into making food for myself, or cooking for myself, and then from there, it's just
Alright, so pretty much we're gonna try your jollof next time, or
yeah. Well, next time I'll make it, I'll pack some.
Okay.
Oh, I remember the name of that rice is called concoction rice.
Yeah, that's what you said. Did I? Yeah, you did. You said
good,
it towards the end there.
Yeah.
The conversation.
Yeah. That's just just put anything aside.
Yeah, you just throw a bunch of different
whatever's in the fridge, whatever's left in the fridge, kind of thing. Or just
it's just
just anything.
I'm not explaining.
Normal jollof rice is just the rice.
Yeah.
Seasoning, and then obviously you can put chicken next to it or something.
You can put stew.
But concoction rice is anything.
Okay.
You can put anything inside, just it's a mess of everything.
Yeah, for us, we don't do a lot of rice, so you guys gonna have to introduce me to concoction rice. Yeah.
What do you guys do?
And we have injera, yeah.
That's the only thing?
Well, we have something close to fufu as well, but it's more I think we eat it more during breakfast time, but it's not made with exactly
breakfast.
That's OD. Maybe it's not as heavy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not. I was just wait, not too much. But,
so, do you know what it's made out of?
No, actually, I don't.
It would be useful to find out. I mean, to be honest, right, there are people that are eating Gary.
It's not that heavy now.
Yeah.
Compared to the other ones.
After I eat anything to do with swallow, I'm sleeping, bro.
Yeah, I guess.
My day is over, bro.
Yeah,
that amount of carbohydrates.
Consuming that in the morning is crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
that is a cancelable day.
It's okay. Do you know how much coffee we drink?
We?
Who's
we? You?
I thought he was talking about, because he said in the morning.
Yeah,
so
but I didn't drink coffee. Oh, you
But I'm
as in
saying
like
our people.
I swear,
Yeah.
you drink coffee like that? Oh yeah, the tea. Yeah, yeah.
Come
I thought it was
on,
just
we're
tea.
that's where coffee originates. It's
I thought it
Ethiopia.
was just tea. I didn't know. It was,
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why at Starbucks when you see the little Ethiopian, these people are not that Ethiopian blend. Yeah, that's the original, not whatever they making.
Fact of the day. Look out.
What about the Colombians?
That I don't know. All I know is my people are the originator. You can search it up. Where is coffee originated from? Let's say Ethiopia.
Damn, the Mexicans are gonna be pissed.
Interesting.
Hey,
Shit.
not at me. Like,
Anyways, welcome to another special episode, guys. I'm your host DX.
Sure up in the cut. You know what it is.
Sheree, Mr. Gallon Sugar. How's it been lately?
It's been calm. It's been
What the list is narrowed down.
the list of what? You crazy? What you talking about? I've been chilling, bro. I've been kicking shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, bro. Trying to up the ante, man. This year,
Of
everything.
what?
Just important things. Relax. Important things.
Okay, this is national announcement. What they call it? PSA. This is a PSA. If you ask me to come on and I say no, I'm sorry. You can come on in 2025. This year we have a list of people we need.
Yeah, bro.
That's my PSA. If you miss this episode, that's your business, bro. But yeah, before we get started, I don't really have much to say, but yeah, this whole police issue, I have nothing like in depth to say, just because again it just happened not too long ago, and well, this is gonna be technically last week. Again, I'm not someone that likes to talk about politics. I don't like talking about all this. I don't like talking about death either, like that. But I think the thing that we can talk about is more so, like the mental health aspects from a personal as well as like relatable standpoint, because I feel like a lot of people come here. Right, there is this ideology of freedom. You're not in your parents' house. You don't have responsibilities like that. All you have is just assignments. But yeah, it's cold. It's cold. A lot of people don't take that into account. Every day we're partying, we don't realize what's actually going up in here, and we forget simple things like how we're actually feeling. Even like when you was around people, like I saw a video, I think someone posted, it was just of the guy and like just few people in the background. I was just thinking to myself, bro, like how many people are in that room and how many people have asked each other like properly, how are you doing? Do you get? Again, it's not a question you just ask in general. It's not a question that you answer, that people answer consciously nowadays, because I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm cool. Assignments, right? But I think most of it is like how do you express what you're going through?
I feel like I'm a very vocal person, at least within I would say within my own like circles. I would say I'm definitely pretty vocal about like I was even telling you about like how I share a lot, but like aside from that, I think that's kind of how I just express. Like if I feel a certain way, I'm more like prone. I feel like this is just how I was raised, but like I'm more prone or likely to actually express it, maybe as opposed to like other guys. But like within like my circle, my guys that I would say I'm like close to, I just kind of tell them like what's going on with me, kind of thing. You know, like I actually tell them. And I know what you mean. It's like the idea of like when somebody asks you, it's just like how like I talk to my Nigerian friends about this all the time. I'm just like when like other Africans or other Nigerian like parents or like elderly people ask you how you're doing, what do you say? Your response is, it's literally like it's like an AI generated response. And even the questions are also AI generated. Oh, how are you doing? How's school? You say, simple. Oh, school's fine, I'm almost done, I'm halfway done, and I'm fine, I'm good. How are you? That's it, right? So I go what you're saying about like people aren't even really consciously answering questions anymore. So I feel like within those spaces too, when people ask you like, how are you doing? It's the same thing. It's like, oh, I'm good. Like I'm working, I'm in school, like I'm chilling. Like that's a very like generic response. When you ask people how to do it, that's usually what they say, right? So I think, at least for me personally, I just kind of try to like actually open up that space, not just for me, but for also like my guys, to feel like they can talk to me about those kind of things. But I would say I'm pretty vocal. Like I'll be like, oh yeah, like this is actually what's going on with me. Like I'm dealing with this and that kind of thing. I don't know. Everyone's different, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like for me, I've had to grow into that. Like I would feel really embarrassed to say how I felt. And that I would always feel like I could handle whatever I was handling, and that I would always expect for everybody else to come tell me, or like I would always bug everyone else like seriously, are you okay? Like I want to be there type of thing, but I would never want to let my own feelings out to other people. But as I've grown to continue to do it, I've just realized that it's genuinely like the only way to get through what you're going through, because keeping that all in is just not going to help you or anyone else try to help you, or you're just going to stay stuck in that position. And I think the stigma around it, like it shouldn't be embarrassing. I don't know why sometimes it can feel like it, or that other people will either not take you seriously or or just feeling like what you have going on is going to be hard for somebody else to, like, I don't know how to comprehend, or just like it might make their life even stressful. Like now I got something else on my plate that I gotta also handle. But I think that when we do work as a group, to especially like I know for men, and their mental health doesn't really get talked about a lot, and that can't quote me, but like I think there's something that I read, it was like men end up committing suicide a lot more than women do.
Way more. It's like I think it's like a third of men or something. Like that.
And it's like we can't continue moving like that. Like we need to figure out whatever the pattern is that is keeping people from expressing their feelings out to one another, and specifically men, like how we can help make them feel more comfortable, and that it's not going to lower your masculinity at all. Like knowing how you feel and knowing how to express that feeling is probably one of the more like adulty, masculine, even feminine, like just like human things you can do. And it's a pattern we have yet to break, and I don't know how to break it, but I just feel like things like that, like it needs to get fixed, because like sitting beside someone you say is your friend and you don't know what's going on in their head, there needs, like,
even like with like talking to, let's say, like African parents, I think one thing that is hard is that for them they expect you to, how to put it, they expect you to know that they can handle your burdens, but at the same time they might not fully understand what your burdens look like. I think that's the best way I can explain it. So then, because you also are aware that they might not understand what your burdens really mean, it might seem as though when you then express it, it's almost like they're not really even listening properly. Because sometimes their response is like, it's mad, bro. Right, it's mad.
It's funny.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't put it on them as though they don't understand. As sometimes it could just be the way they're trying to tell you, explain more, just translates so wrong. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, because I've had arguments with my mum about this many times, like this whole idea of like telling her what I'm going through. I'm like, bro, like I can't tell you. I don't know what to say. Like, what do you want me to explain to you? If I explain it to you, and this is one thing that I don't like hearing. Oh, like you be fine. I don't need you be fine. Tell me if I'm gonna express it. I need like some sort of solution, or tell me how to walk through this, not just give me motivation. So yeah, it's weird, and a lot of time for me it's just like I always, as you said, I try and walk through it and find my way out. And then I don't know, I just don't think I'm capable of, because that's the sin. That's how I see it. So that one, that option's not there. That option's not there. But
yeah, bro.
But then you're just living in genuine struggle within your own self without anyone knowing. And of course, like I'm not saying like that's not the option ever, but just that how do you think you can deal with it? And I'm talking about because some people deal with mental health issues for like 20-30 years. Like you can't do that for that long and by yourself, really no help. You're gonna end up, you know.
It's a hard question to answer, to be very honest. It's a very hard question to answer because personally I just see it as however my life is meant to lead, it will lead. So what's the point of me not necessarily worrying, but what's the point of me stressing about the stress that I'm going through? You get what I'm saying? So the way I see it is if I die, I die. That's just meant to be like that. So most of the time that's why I end up doing stuff on my own, or like not even doing stuff on my own. That's why I end up like, if I have a problem, the problem creates stress, I ignore the stress and focus on the problem, right? Sometimes some people focus on the stress, and then that's what causes you to like look for ways to deal with the stress, and then that's where you start looking for a way out. So that's why I always believe that I'm always fine. Obviously it's not great. It's not a great option, but at the end of the day, I think it's one of those things where that's why I'm expressive, but I don't express certain problems just because it's pretty straightforward for the most part, or it seems so to me, right?
I don't know. I feel like just the whole idea of like mental health is like, it's very individualistic. Also, it's just like each individual is very different, and I realized this when, like especially getting older, and like I was literally talking to my mom about this recently about how I was saying it must be very interesting watching your children grow up and become their own individuals, because now we're all of age, right? Yeah. My sister's 21, my brother's like 19, you know, so it's just like we are all like very different individuals, and we all, as even though we're raised on the same roof, same parents, literally just the fact that I'm the oldest, my sister, like there's so many like intricate like factors that play into like your psyche, you know what I mean? The fact that my sister's was the only girl between me and my brother at a point, the fact that my brother's the younger brother, the fact that I'm the older brother, those little things play into our psyche. It's so individualistic. It's very interesting when you like start like learning about like psychology and stuff, that how you were raised is a huge factor. How your parents treated you as individuals as you were growing up. So it's like there's so much there. Like seeing my brother react to certain things, how he processes certain things, is very different than me. My brother is very, very, very reserved, very, very, very calm. He does not react to things to the point where you would almost think, maybe from an outside perspective, you think, oh, this guy like he's like nonchalant, for example. He's not. Right, he just processes things very differently than me, for example. I'm a lot more reactive than he is, right? I will come to him and be like, oh man, this shit happened, da da da. And obviously my brother's younger than me in age, but just that calmness he has when the same situation happened to him, he'd be like, Well, he'll be like, and I'll come to him and be like, yo, this happened, like, and I'm like reacting, whatever. And he's like, nah, he's like, nigga, just chill. That he's like, nigga, just chill. And he'll just like, he thinks of it completely differently. He's giving me a completely different perspective on the exact same situation, you know? So it's just like, I don't know, man. The whole mental health thing, it's just, to me, it's just very, very, I feel like I can understand why people don't express. I can really, really understand, because as much as even I say, like, I express to my guys or whatever, or I can say I'm close to my mom, it's like, I think the whole idea of it being individualistic is also that sense of nobody fully understands, because nobody knows what's going on in your head except for you.
Exactly. And even those little situations, those little situations that has groomed you to where you are, because it's so individualistic, other people might not fully understand.
Exactly.
So even like that's another reason why I don't really express certain things, because it's just like, okay, cool, I can say, okay, I'm the older brother. We can bring out different scenarios where, okay, cool, this is how an older brother should receive certain things. But then there are elements, I was talking to Shannon about this as well, there's elements of my life that I've reacted to differently or responded to differently. So the fact that I've never really been stable in one place, that in itself has manifested somehow. Now, trying to explain that to my parents, the way I see it is like, the reason why I've not been in one place is because they have a plan for their children. Although I'm my individual, they have a plan for their children and their family. And these are the things that need to happen for that plan to exist, right? And then is also sometimes just like, okay, cool, then just get on with it. That's how, like, just get on with it. If that's been your life, you should be used to the fact that nothing has been stable. There's some sort of stability in that, in the fact that you're conscious that things are always going to be changing. And also, the only thing constant in life is change. So why are you now confused? Or why is change now being a negative impact? All these questions go through my mind. And because I'm answering all these questions, I'm like, there's no point. If I now talk to someone, you're going to tell me an answer that I've already answered. And now I'm just going to be pissed that I wasted that time. You know what I'm saying? But then a lot of this, like, when I realized it was a problem, a lot of this is just like, because I don't even know how to explain why I can't explain. It's just things that keep on mounting up. I was having a conversation with my mom, and she was like, like, why do you not talk? And I'm like, I talk now, but it's not to the level that you, like, there's certain things that I can't say. It's not because they're like hidden or anything. It's just I don't know where the conversation is going to lead to, because you might see it completely different, and then all of a sudden we're having a completely different conversation, blah blah blah. So now trying to even express that, it was just this sudden realization that this is always going to be the case, and it just kind of just exploded. And then she was, I don't want you to die, kill yourself. I said, bro, that's not going to happen. Relax, firstly. But it's always the whole idea of, because there are so many nuances to the way each and every one of us has lived our lives, a lot of our problems that could seem common might not actually be relatable in any way. Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
Tell me, bro.
So
it's crazy.
That in itself causes, and again, because of what we've been exposed to and all these nuances, our reactions are very different. So relating it back to this issue, some people can go mad.
All right, guys, before we get back to the show, we just want to ask you guys to subscribe, like, and share. We're on the way to 1K, and we'd appreciate if you guys did that for us. Let's get back to the show.
Some people don't go mad. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where, I don't know, me personally, again, why the hell are you calling police? Who's the one that called police? That's not who you should be calling. I don't understand. Isn't there like...
No, there isn't. else the issue? Like somewhere, like a mental health crisis?
No, not even that. Because I'm trying to process it, right? They're saying, oh, he was carrying a knife. But he wasn't harming anyone.
Yeah.
Who called the police?
I think it was again, just from what I've seen on the internet.
Yeah.
One of the people that are in the apartment was called.
Was it a student residence or was it just like an apartment?
I don't know, because it said University
Crescent.
Yeah, I don't know if that means.
It's sounding fishy, man. It's not even fishy. It's just sounding strange. It's just a strange. I mean, okay, yeah. Okay.
It's just there's so like the issue here is that there's so much other things that they could be doing other than one pulling out a gun and shooting someone 3 times, especially in an area that is going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
It's like.
I mean that one we've been seeing it so many times. That one doesn't surprise me. I'm not saying that's not wrong. It just doesn't surprise me. So, what surprises me is who's calling the police. That's why I say if it's a residence, like a student residence, there are different levels of who you can call. If it's just a normal apartment residence. I mean, I don't know. It's just
I don't know. Like, I talked to a few of my guys about this, and like, for me, I was very I don't want to say indifferent is the word, because I feel like I was very neutral about the situation, just because I understand in situations like this. Or not situations like this, but just when you hear about a situation that you don't actually fully know about, that's when like your brain starts to create the rest of the story for you.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like, as somebody that's very like objective, I was like, okay, like let's actually look at the situation from the information we have, right? Like you said, there's a lot of first of all, there's a lot of aspects, there's a lot of factors, right? Like you said, there's the mental health aspect. We can, like you said, we had a whole conversation about that for the last 10-15 minutes. There's a whole aspect of racism within Canada. That's a completely different aspect, right, of the situation as a whole. And like black people being discriminated against, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, that 1000% exists. Then now when it comes to the actual specific situation, right, to where number one, we're hearing the voice note, and then we're hearing about initially I heard there was a neighbor that called. Then I heard it was his roommate that called. I was like, okay, so like there's, once again, like we don't exactly know what happened. Then there's, once again, in terms of like the situation within itself, with the information that we do have, it's, the police came to the door. They opened the door. They saw him with the quote unquote weapons or weapon. Some I heard that he had 2 knives. I heard he had a knife and scissors. I heard he had 1 knife. Right. Once again, we don't know the full story because we weren't there. And then the whole interaction within itself, where between the police officer and the obviously the guy that lost his life. Right. It's what, off, like I said, off the voice note, it's what did he say again? They said drop the weapon, and you hear the gunshots immediately after that. Right. And then so people were like, oh, there's no interaction prior to that. But then once again, like I said, looking at it objectively, we weren't there, right? So it's like we don't know what happened within that actual instance. How close was he to the police officers? That kind of thing. So I was just thinking of it objectively. I was like, this situation is very unfortunate, right? Somebody lost their life, but on one hand, I can see. I was just thinking about it. I'm like, okay, as like a police officer, right? As a police officer that goes into these situations. Knowing that obviously, you're trained, whatever, but essentially every time you leave your house, what's it called? You could lose your life.
Your life is on the line.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
You could lose your life. Thinking about it, and then going into, what's the word? High stress situations, right? Your adrenaline is you're also a human being. Obviously you're trained, but still, when you know that your life you can lose your life at any minute. That's another fact. So I was just thinking about it objectively, right? and I was thinking about it from the outrage from the black community is 1000% understandable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I was just like, I'm just giving my like POV of like the situation within itself, just going off of what you said when you were like, it sounded like kind of strange to you when you heard the story. I was kind of just looking at it, like kind of dissecting it and like putting like layers to the whole situation, because like I said,
what is strange to me, it's not the story that's strange to me. What is strange to me is why this is like, it's all of what you're saying is the layers. That's strange, as in like, it's always strange. This has always been strange to me. I watch this shit in movies, right? You see someone that's holding the gun, be it James Bond or whatever, right? Let's take it away from police brutality. James Bond is holding the gun. He has someone that he needs information from. Why are you shooting the guy where he's gonna die? Shoot him in the arm, shoot him in the leg. This is always what goes through my mind. Okay, cool. Now bring it back to police. Police are trained. You go to the gun range. We're also in North America where you can go to the gun range. Even if you're not training in your police academy, you still have the ability to go home, choose your recreational activity as shooting range. You go there to train yourself to shoot at targets. It's not like you're shooting as like, you're not just shooting randomly in a specific area. You're shooting for accuracy. In a high stress situation, that is what you're trained for. Why can you not destabilize the situation? Like I just don't get it, bro. Why can't you destabilize the situation and then deal with it afterwards? Is it that they're trained that it makes financial sense for the government to take someone's life rather than take them to the hospital? Because that's another thing that we can now think about. Because if that's the case, tell us so we know not to call you guys. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not gonna call you. But now it's just like, if that's not the case, then why are we still having? I don't get where the privilege comes in. Like I don't get where the privilege comes in. I'm not saying this from ignorance, because I know white privilege exists, right? Especially in the judicial system, it exists. Blue privilege also exists, right? I just don't get as a human being, first off, and then I just don't get it, man. For me personally, that's the reason I came to Canada, because you guys were supposedly the peaceful ones. Do you get what I'm saying? Now in this remote city, I'm now hearing the same reason why I didn't go to America. Come on now. This story is getting boring. You get what I'm saying? It's getting boring, bro. It's getting boring. I don't get it. I honestly do not get it, because whether or not, I don't understand what we're meant to do.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like, if we, like, what are we supposed to understand in stories like this? That if we call the police, that, oh, one of us is going to die in 3 minutes when they arrive. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. And I understand, because again, like, they got to protect themselves. Again, just like how you said, I have the same thought as you. It's like, we weren't there, we don't know everything. Yeah. But in the same breath, it's like, how have I seen so many similar videos of people with weapons on, what is it, Winnipeg Wilding or whatever? And you got about 16 cops, and they're doing everything they can to not pull out at least the gun to shoot this person, and they end up getting the person, cuffing them, and everything ends up. And you see, they all have their tasers out. So why can that not happen for black people?
One thing that is key to note, because I see this narrative a lot. One thing that's key to note is that personally, I don't. Personally, and this can be misconstrued. Personally, I don't believe we can use the police as a full blanket for everyone, because those 6 could be completely different people to this one. Do you get what I'm saying?
1 or 2, yeah.
And the problem with, remember, birds of a feather association. The problem with association is that one bad apple can kill the whole bunch. Because now those 6 are following their rules. Let's say their rules were to even yell a taser as well. Come on, that's your rules. You know, destabilize the situation, right? Those 6 could be doing their duties. Those 12, those 100, whatever that we see on a daily, and then this one is goes rogue. Do you get what I'm saying? Because for me, I don't see it as wise us like always putting blanket statements on police, because these are still human beings. Whatever color they are, they're still human beings. So I've met white men, white women that are conscious of racial biases. They're conscious of their white privilege and they don't abuse it, right? And for me, I'm more of like, we are human beings first before we are now races, right? The issue is this particular guy, or however many set of people he came with. That is the issue. We like what is very easy to do is to bring up all those other stories, unless those are the same characters. Then we can say that, but that's what now makes the police's job harder. Because what happens now is that because we put this blanket statement on police, we have certain one of our demographic that do not have a sense of consciousness of people in the other race being conscious too. We now form this animosity towards a general group. And what can happen is that certain one of us that are not on the straight and narrow, that have these weapons, that are not suffering from anything, are now going under the guise of racial issues to then attack and kill police. And again, police, as a blanket statement, we're forgetting that one man could actually be a good policeman. What now happens to his family is the same thing that happens to us when we're killed. So that's why personally I don't like those blanket statements. It makes sense because that's the quick solution that we can go to. But if we actually think about it deeply, that can't be the solution. Because if we're going to go with that solution, then we have to understand why they would then make us blanket statements as bad people too.
And because it's just a cycle.
Exactly. There we go. And that's what now creates this divide. Right? When we understand everyone is their individuals and we have bad people in this world, then we can start to actually solve these problems. Otherwise, there's always going to be police, civilians, police, races, police, and just demographics. Because you can see it with someone that's let's say someone that is of a poorer demographic, whatever race, comes the police have been called, they get basically harassed when they're being arrested, compared to a white rich male. The police is called and they're ushering him into the car. Do you get what I'm saying? So like, we have to think beyond just blanket statements. That's my own piece. No, go on.
Like, I don't know, I feel like I would love to get to a point where I think like you guys. Like, that's really for me, because I'm big into forgiveness, at least in my religion. Like, forgiveness is big, and I've been trying to work on forgiving the police in many ways, right? But for me, it's just like, I think I just can't seem to understand why we are always the ones that have to change when it's been so...
It's not us that has to change.
I know, but it's like you're saying that we have to stop, like, we don't have to stop making blanket statements, but it's that we have to try, right? We have to try to work on doing that so that they can... But it's like, we've done that for how long, and how many years have the police ran on the same, like, topic? Like, and again, I really would like to trust that they'll change, because that's the goal at the end of the day. And I used to be someone who was like same thinking as you until 2020, like when George Floyd and all that happened, where I honestly couldn't. it just changed, and I just didn't change back. I think just seeing the amount of things I saw on the internet, I mean, we all did, but those are things of like again, are people really dying without them seeming to care? And it's like, how, my question is, how can you work for or an organization that is built on killing and putting black and brown people in jail? Like, I know that that's maybe not how they wanted it to go, but that's how it's been going. And for me, it's like, until I see an enormous amount of change, I can't forgive what's, like, I'll try again. Like, I'm someone who I'll keep trying and growing, but it's like, I can't, when what it's been built on is that, like, I can't, like, let's say I end up having kids here and I have my husband and all this here. I can't think, oh, something, my husband has a mental health crisis, then
you can't call them,
and I don't know what to do. Like, thinking, oh, if they call, maybe for some instinct I get the wrong cop and they end up killing me, like something like that, or even me, or even my sister, my friend, any of that. Like, at what point can I stop thinking that that's gonna happen?
Yeah.
You know, it's because, like, we've worked how, like, I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard topic. I hope things change, but I don't know how it will. Like, it's been 4 years since 2020, and
all right, guys, quick interruption. Make sure you go check out the audio as well. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to the audio. Make sure you follow us there and also rate. So 5 stars, please, 5 stars. That will help us actually get to be seen more. And also share it with your friends, family, whoever as well. But yeah, back to the show, guys. The thing is, this is a sad truth. It's not meant to change. Because we have to understand, and this is how I see it personally, we have to understand that there is so many issues in this world, spiritually, that this is meant to happen. And I'm not saying a thing of like, I'm condoning the evil. It's just, we have to live, like, I'm only saying this to people that are Christians, people that are of faith, because I can't talk to just any random person that's not of faith. I can understand why you're angry. You have nothing to make you feel not angry, right? And I can understand why certain people have certain views, because your surroundings have been that. From my perspective, I've been surrounded by, let's say, I've been surrounded by white police doing this mess. I've also been in Nigeria where black police and politicians do this mess. And because of that, because of my experience now, I can't now just say it's the white men or the white establishments being the police establishment. Do you get what I'm saying? So with that being said, when I'm saying things like having to forgive, that's not me saying it. That's based on our faith. Our faith is that we forgive, and it's not for us to then judge. And by judgment, it's more so you have to live your life with caution. You can't, by you being afraid as to, I don't know what to do now. Now I'm in a crisis, and the person that I'm meant to rely on to call, that is how life is right now, based on where we are, being on this earth. It's not something that's subject to just the police being a problem. It's subject to your life. Your life, you can't fully trust everyone. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's not something that we have to, it's not something that I believe we should be painting on one person. It's something we should pay on everyone. But in the same breath, we should live life with love. Hence why we need to continually see the good in people. I'm not saying that we should ignore these bad, but it's like we can't call everyone bad. Because now imagine for them, let's say the band of the bad apples in the police force, they're looking at a bunch of us now that are irate about the situation, and they're saying this was bound to happen. This is how they are. The same way we're saying this is how they are. Mm-hmm. Now, what does that say for you? That's a good person, and the other policeman that is a good person. What does that now say for you guys that have nothing? Like, your words are now not being loud enough because there are bad versions of us. We can't say they're on. There are bad versions of us, and those are also in that cycle that cause the bad police to then have this excuse to do something stupid like this.
Yep.
Because for them, every day they go out, their life is on the line because they're having to deal with the bad versions of us. So now the one that has this vengeance towards us because he's put a blanket statement, he's looking for an excuse. He's found an excuse. It's just a innocent, harmless, black boy. That's my excuse to release my vengeance. Because if I tried to release it in the drug house that we're about to, I might die. Do you get what I'm saying? So we have to realize that us as humans, our heart is inherently evil unless we are, part of a faith. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. I'm only saying this to people of faith. I'm not saying this to anyone that doesn't believe in anything. If you don't believe in anything, go ahead, hate whoever you want to hate. But if you're of faith and you've told me you're of faith, it's not right for you to have disdain towards a group. You can have disdain towards someone because that person is clearly chosen Satan. Do you get what I'm saying? He's chosen evil as a side. But I can't sit here and put down everyone because now that good person has no one to even hear him out. And that could even be very, very bad. Because now imagine now you're in that crisis, and because you have this disdain towards the police in general, that person that would have picked up the phone to come and help you could not have been your angel. And how does that sound? If you now think about that situation where you've missed a destiny helper, all for the sake of race, how does that now sound compared to you've missed someone that could have killed you? These are two different ways to look at it, but those two different ways still exist. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh man, that was heavy, man. Look,
right?
They're not. It's not. Look, they're not.
It's not simple.
It's not. Like I understood everything you were saying, but once you started like that, just that last little sequence right there, I was like, yeah, some people are gonna miss what you're saying. Some people are gonna miss what you're saying.
They gotta listen back.
But yeah, they have to listen back.
This is the thing. This is why I made this, because I can finish my statements. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I've had many. This racial argument is something that people are not ready for. We always keep saying, "Oh, when are things going to change?" It's not about everyone changing. It's about you individually changing. By that I mean, when your friend gives you an opposing view, it's not his opinion or her opinion. An opposing view to understand everything in its totality. Listen. That's your individual job to this change. A lot of people don't listen, right? I've had arguments with my own friends that have the same view as you, and I'm like, I understand where you're coming from, but you now need to understand where the rest of the world is, and by the rest of the world, I mean humanity in total. If we don't understand that, we're always gonna harbor this hate. Like it's the same. It's the same with that whole Olivia clip. That's exactly the same thing when we're talking about not just race, we're now talking about this gender wars as well. And you mix the two, bro, no one wants to listen. And if you just take time to hear out the opposing view and try and create an understanding for yourself, you would now lead your life with caution. And it's not about leading life clueless or just accepting shit. You have to lead life with caution, but lead with love. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you can't just give your heart to everyone. Bro, someone will slash it and burn it for you, bro. It's a seed. It's not meant to germinate right now. It's a seed.
Yeah, man. It's just, I think obviously these kind of conversations is just all about, like I said, it's just, the idea of kind of like what you said, just hearing what other people have to say and creating your own instead of, you know, like following the masses, just like think about it for yourself. Like actually sit down and think about it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Think about the situation. If you can pull yourself out of it, think about the situation in its entirety. Right. And that's why, like, when I initially brought up, when we were talking about it, I was talking about my perspective. I was like, objectively, I know this is not something that we can just talk about and not dissect, because it's a lot deeper than the situation within itself. Right. Like I said, there's a lot of layers and there's a lot of aspects. Right. And there were certain things I was going to get into, but you already said, so I'm going to let him cook. I'm going to let him cook. You know what I'm saying? Look,
it's also your view, because the way you say it, because again, you have to realize these are different languages. We all speak different languages.
Yeah.
We can be speaking English, but our tone, where the process of the brain, where it comes from, is all very different. The same way you can hear someone say, like, for example, you can hear, let's say, a girl you're seeing, your mum, your sister, tell you, "Oh, sure, you need to focus on yourself," and it comes in, but then you hear David Goggins say you need to focus on yourself. Guy, it shakes you up, but it's the same words. That's why it's boring. Say your piece.
Yeah. Look, I don't. When I said like you said it, it wasn't just like. Well, I understand what you're saying 1000%. I think it was more so like, also the way you said it is the way I was going to also say it.
You took the words out of your mouth?
Yeah, like that. I was like, yeah, like he definitely like touched on some points. I was just like I kind of summarized, like I was saying, is the whole idea of perspective and listening and pulling yourself out of the situation and trying to see all sides of things, just so you have a better understanding of what's really going on. Right. And it's not to say that, you know, these things don't exist, like you said, blue privilege, white privilege. Even what Lydia's saying, when she was like, oh, like, imagine like my husband's going through something and I can't call him. I was like, I actually thought, I was like, that's like that fear to like feel like you cannot call who's supposed to serve and protect is kind of crazy too within itself. Right. But just not putting, like you said, just not putting that blanket over, police, quote unquote, is just the same way how you wouldn't want, right? Like you were talking about judgment, you wouldn't want them to be like, oh, black people are this, and this. And like you said, change begets change. You get what I'm saying? So that's kind of like where my head was, like, as you were talking, those are kind of the things that were, you know, popping up into my head. And, you know, like you said, you have to live your life with caution. You have to also understand that, you know, as a black person, discrimination exists, blue privilege exists, white privilege exists, right? But that doesn't mean that all these people are bad people. Just like as a community, as a demographic, we you know, and this is things we're still fighting for today, because these things exist, but we're fighting against discrimination. We don't want every police officer to come in and think, oh, this person does this person is selling drugs, or is a scammer, or is a murderer, or you know, all these stereotypes attached to us because of our skin color. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, I wish there was an opportunity for us to build a relationship with them outside of we're calling you for an emergency. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's like we're asking for each other to trust each other, but how do we trust people who, for some reason, we may, or some people in a group may feel something else towards the other group, whatever, but just build a general trust. Like, can we do something else outside of that environment where it's like we get to see each other in a different light, where, you know, next time maybe we wouldn't make a judgment, you know, because at the end of the day, the only times I've had to deal with police is in not great situations, right? So it's like, of course we're going to tense up. But I believe what you say, because as soon as I see an officer outside of their outside of their uniform, what I'm so like respect this for, like, you know, I respect the person, all that. As soon as I see, couldn't even matter what they're nope, I'll be walking the other direction. Thank you. So it's not like I completely understand that they're a human being underneath, but it's so hard to get, because it's more the organization. It's not the people. It's the what was it built on.
Of course. So, like you can hate the establishment, but you need to know.
Chill on the people.
There's that, but you also need to know where your disdain comes from.
Yeah.
You like that's where this whole self-awareness thing comes from. Like you really, really need to understand situations. That's why, for me, when I say I'm an understanding person, this is what I mean. I look at everything the same way. A lot of my friends that have this issue, their experience with police has always been this. And then you look at police situations, their everyday is going into the same. You know what I'm saying? When your everyday is that, you're gonna form and you're gonna like have a callous mind that is gonna be compounded with the same shit that then corroborates a truth in your mind.
Yeah.
That's why there's always three truths: is your truth, their truth, and the actual truth itself.
Yeah.
The truth is that in this world, yin and yang, bad and evil, bad and good exist. It's 50-50. They're fighting each other. What happens is now, where you're based on is what you're gonna see the more.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we need to be put into each other's shoes a little bit more, just to.
Go to Taylor's. Go to all these white establishments.
Please.
So you can meet them.
No, thank you. You're crazy.
Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like the idea of trying to be still and understand things, aside from what you like initially pick up on when you do see something or you hear a story, is very, very important as humans. We're very complex creatures. I don't care what anyone says. Like, we're very complex creatures. There's a lot that goes on in our minds. You know
Before you carry on, we're complex, but social media makes us seem simple.
Yeah.
That's the issue. Because you are in an echo chamber, you forget how complex you are
as an individual.
Everything is given to you so easy. So you see all the people you follow, you chose to follow. A lot of it is biased based on they have similar mindsets. So when people are sharing their vex, you're thinking, I should be vexed too.
Yeah.
Yeah, carry on.
But yeah, I think that's obviously where like a lot of the sheep mentality comes from also, you know. But kind of like what you were saying about like being in different environments and seeing what's it called? Like seeing police of different races acting the exact same way. Like still treating civilians like they're garbage. You know what I'm saying? It's like, once again, it's that idea of like pulling yourself out and understanding like the world is a lot bigger than you, right? When you are able to just like sit back and go, okay, look, like this is going on, this is happening, but there's more to it. Just let me dig a little deeper, right? So I have a better understanding of it. I just think it's very important. And yeah, like I actually saw something on TikTok the other day. It's funny you're talking about the whole social media thing. It was like a lot of these things that like we're like quote unquote dealing with or we think are actually like our problems are not our problems, right? It's a false reality that social media creates for you.
Yeah.
And your brain is so powerful that it can literally trick you into thinking that's your reality, right?
Yeah.
Thinking, oh, this is going on, just because you're swiping on TikTok for fucking 10 hours a day. And now you think all this shit that you're seeing on there, you're eating it all up, and all of a sudden you have 1,000 more problems than what's actually going on in your immediate reality. You know what I mean?
One thing I want to add to that whole falsification of reality is that it's false not because it's not real, it's false because it's exaggerated. So it is real, but it's just exaggerated, which is what makes it not part of your actual reality. Your reality is a plane, but what you're showing in that false reality is an exaggerated plane, which is not the same thing. That's why it's deemed as false. And I think, I don't know, for me, this is why, like, I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was telling them I'm not fazed by what happens on social media. I live in real life. I took this from, I can't remember who, Stephen Bartlett is like, following people that are the complete opposites in terms of like your thinking. It's very important to have all of that in your immediate vicinity. When you're scrolling through socials, you see all the people you agree with, but then you see the people you don't. What that does, it really balances out your perspective. So then you don't take what you see on socials into real life.
Mm-hmm.
And then before you know it, you become one of these Instagram baddies that's just your whole personality is social media, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Take social media out of the equation. Sit down and ask yourself, what are you actually dealing with? Right? And obviously this is, once again, this is like an individual thing, because obviously there's people that are dealing with way bigger issues, like putting food on the table, for example. But then there's other people where it's like you said, it's this amplified version of what are you actually going through. Like actually sit down with yourself, throw this phone away, bro. Throw this phone away for a second. Actually ask yourself, what are you dealing with? Or is social media now amplifying what you're actually feeling, as opposed to what you as an individual are feeling? You know what I mean? Different. So that was something that I kind of picked up on what you said. You know what I mean? It's this, like you said, this whole idea of amplifying everything, as opposed to what you're actually going through and dealing with.
That's true. Yeah. Because even when Tidy was asking what's the problem for guys when it comes to socials, like we say with girls it's like beauty and all this self-love stuff. For guys is a lot more the materialistic shit. I think to add to what you're saying is also like sometimes you might see, let's say, a lot of things on socials that make you feel jealous, and you might think that's your problem. But what might actually just be your problem is that you ran out of toothpaste, bro. That could actually just be your problem. But because you're on this a lot, you're seeing so many things that are just egging you on, and you're not realizing that your actual anger is not like you're jealous or what. It literally is just a simple problem outside of socials. But when you now go back to your reality, you go to your washroom and you're squeezing the thing, you're vexed, and then you go back on socials, the anger you already feel is now increasing. Whereas it's literally just that small thing. So, those are the two sides of the coin, and sometimes it could be like you're actually going through, you're seeing Jada with a BBL and you're looking in the mirror and you don't like yourself. But sometimes
it's true though.
Sometimes it could just be you ran out of deodorant. You know what I'm saying? It could just be that, man.
Did you see that video of that? There's that one lifestyle guy that's on TikTok, and he was like, "Oh, there was this lady he's been seeing on and off for 6 months," and he asked her to. It was the whole. I've actually realized this is becoming a very, very, very large topic now. This whole masculine, feminine energy thing. It's like everyone's talking about this. It's becoming such a.
I think I've seen it. Yeah.
But he was like, he was at home, and he asked the girl was coming over, and he asked her if she could get him food.
Oh yeah.
And she said, if you pay for it, then she'll get it.
I'm not talking to you. No answer.
And then that was that went viral on Twitter.
No answer.
Right, for different reasons.
You come, not talking to you again.
So that was
the vibes going to be off on that day.
Yeah.
Not talking to you again after that.
So essentially, he was like, the whole discussion or argument is that, because she's going to get the food, it's masculine of her to pay for a meal. And I was just like, okay, now we need to pause. We need to pause. Now another string before I go there, another string of the argument was that I saw a bunch of women in the comments talking about the fact that they were talking on and off for 6 months. That is not the point. That is not the goddamn point. Like let's focus on let's actually talk about the issue, okay? They're like, on and off for 6 months. What does that have to do with the gesture? Bro, stop this, bro. Like, he asked her if she could get him some food on the way to see him. What is the actual big deal? Right? This is obviously someone that, at least from the context we've gotten, has expressed that he takes care of his woman. He obviously pays for dates. It's not like he doesn't do these things. It was just something so simple that became such a large, for me. It was
just that one time.
Yeah, it was just like, he was just like, imagine your girl's coming over and you're like, yo, can you grab me some food on the way? And she's like, yeah, can you pay? And he was just like, he didn't understand why somebody he does so much for thought that was such a big deal that he now also had to send her the money to pay for the food that he asked for.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's let's not make this. It's not complex, my nigga. Like,
I've been there before. I've actually been there before, but it's not the same situation. It's more so like essentially when you asked her, "Oh, can you get me food?" You weren't thinking about it. It was just "Can you get me food?"
Exactly.
And then the moment she said, "Can you pay?" It's like, I can, but where's this coming from?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, then it's more of a thing where it's like, now you because you don't know what to say, that then lets that thought just explode. Because it could have been just a simple, why can't you pay? But because you already know the ramifications of what you're about to ask,
Yep.
Boom.
There we go. Yeah.
And then that's where we go back to men can't talk. Because now it's like, you've now held your tongue because of something so small.
Not only that, but he could have already been planning to pay for it, but he hadn't gotten to that part of the sentence because that wasn't what the main topic was.
Word. Because now I'm vexed that you asked me.
Yeah, because then what if it was like, yeah, duh, I was gonna do it anyways, but now that you just said that,
I didn't even think about that.
because I would have been.
You just said, can you grab me some food on the way? If you pay for it.
I think it's also the tone, man. It could have been the tone. It could have, because there could have been a way that she could have said it that it doesn't actually mean anything. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It doesn't translate into a conversation.
Yeah, she could have just said, "Oh, like you pay for it," but the way she says it is like,
if you pay for it, there's a lot. If you pay for it, there's a lot different than you know. Yeah, there's a lot of. It's just for me. I was just like, why is everything? Why is everything a conversation? And you know what I mean by why is everything a conversation?
Yes.
Within this context, it's like, why is everything politics now? Why is your girl getting you food political, my nigga?
Why is actions gender specific?
Exactly.
Let's touch that.
Stop this, bro.
Like
this whole like.
Let's get into.
I think the whole idea of like masculine and feminine energy is a very beautiful conversation that we should have. But now it's becoming like you said, everything is gender specific.
Yeah.
Right? To the point where it's like your woman doing a gesture for you is now a masculine thing. I don't understand. Right? How is I just like I understand, but I just you know what I mean? It should not be this political.
What's happening nowadays?
It's crazy. It's getting crazy, man.
What's happening nowadays is that a lot of information is landing on the laps of idiots. That's the problem.
Yeah.
People that go to school, they know that in English class, when they give you a piece to read and they give you some questions after, you know that you have to look at the piece. You have to then find what part of the sentence makes sense to this question, and then you answer the question. You get marked. Is it right or wrong? Or is there a story that you could... Do you got comprehension? Nowadays, we get the piece, no questions to help us understand how to even dissect this piece, and then we take what we like and then run with it. So a lot of people are taking this, they're hearing about masculine, feminine energy, and the only instant of duality within gender's energy or whatever you have is the sex. And then you apply it straight to this topic of energies. Whereas you're not understanding energies is completely different to sex. Like, energies, masculine, feminine, exist in everyone. I can be a man, but I have masculine and feminine within me. And a lot of people, Americans, they don't understand this shit. Do you know what I'm saying? That's why I say a lot of information is landing on the laps of idiots, bro. It's very sad.
Yeah. And this is because like the video I saw was like a stitch to when the guy was saying his issue is the fact that people are not understanding there is a divine feminine within you also, right? You buying him food does not take away from that.
Bro,
is that what I'm saying?
It might even enhance it.
Exactly.
It might even enhance it.
So that in itself, once again, another perspective, I think he's like, there's a divine feminine in you as a woman, right? And so for you to think that you paying for your, bear in mind, this is not some random, like this is the guy you've been seeing, right, for a long period of time. Like that does not take away from your divine feminine. You know what I mean?
So even to dive into that topic more, it's like essentially, us as humans are meant to be protected and fed. How we do it to each other is very different. For a man to a woman, most of it is physical. You need physical food, you need physical money to create physical house, or you need him to physically be brolic to defend you or to protect you. For a woman, you're protecting our emotions, you're feeding our spirit. This is just the generic, just the generic way of touching on this topic, right? But within that, you're protecting and you're feeding. And sometimes some people can't even understand that. On the woman's side, when you say protect and feed me, all of a sudden there's a problem. Guys, do some research, man. Understand what that means. And not just that, sometimes it's also like, understand what it means for yourself. Because the way I've explained it, that's how I understand it. It could mean something else for you. The protection, feeding could mean something else for you. Mm-hmm. You need to understand things for yourself, not just take what someone else has said and just instantly apply it to your life. It doesn't, this is not Jenga, bro.
Yeah, I think there's that, like you said, there's that with like social media being so rampant, especially with something like TikTok, which is just shortening attention spans even more and more and more and more. It's the idea of absorbing the influx of information, without actually comprehending for yourself, like you said, for yourself. Obviously, I think you can hear something and understand it, like understand what the person's saying, but then you need to. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to absorb it. Does that make sense? You need to break it down for yourself and have your own understanding of what is being said. And I think that's what's missing nowadays is people just hear these things and they just absorb it and run with it immediately without actually taking the time to break it down for themselves and create their own opinion of what is actually being said. Yeah,
because even as humans, within our connection and within our interaction, you might have, let's say a few years ago, in order to hear some of this or to receive some of these types of information, you might have gone to a talk. Mm-hmm. After you leave that talk, you're going to talk with friends, bring up the topic. You're then going to talk about it. As you're dissecting it, you're creating your own perspective of what you receive from that talk. Now, that talk is digested into 10 seconds.
Yep.
And immediately that 10 seconds finishes, there's a next information. Between that time, you haven't even had a chance to do you know what I'm saying, discuss it with a friend or whatever, and do you know what I'm saying? And even within social media, there's also what social media was created for was for instances like that. You are supposed to, and this is my perspective, you are supposed to share that information, whatever it is that struck you, share it. That's why there's a share button. That's why shares increase your algorithm. You share it. And that's why DMs are there. Share it to a friend. You talk about it. But most of the time, I think we've just grown into this individualistic society where everything's just for us. So now we're not really sharing with intention of really sharing. The word itself, share, means we're both taking part of this information. Sometimes we just share as in I'm giving it to you.
Yeah. You're not thinking about it either when you're sharing it.
A lot of these things that are implemented into social media. This is why sometimes you can't really blame. I know I've seen people blame the leaders of the social media itself. They're trying to do this to other. Bro, they had this grand vision of us being so connected that we don't have to. From the talk, we don't have to catch a bus to then walk to my friend's house to find out if he's there and then see him next week to then talk about this information we shared. This information I got. I can instantly remove all that transportation and we can dissect this information. And I believe that's what social media was kind of created for, and we're losing it. But then again, it's part of our human nature to look for easiest ways to deal with stuff. And sometimes the easiest way to share something is to share it to yourself, because there's no lapse.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
It's deep.
For sure.
It's deep.
Now it's time for ShoreAsks. So, ShoreAsks of the day is, In your opinion, what are signs of a dying relationship?
Diminishing communication.
Say it again.
Diminishing communication.
Diminishing communication.
Yeah, so like communication is reducing, whether it's the amount or the frequency, all the way to like the actual context. So if I ask you how your day was in the first like 6 months and you're telling me your whole day, and then I ask you how your day was in month 8 and you're telling me it was fine, there's a problem.
Yeah. I think I definitely agree with that, because I feel like the kind of goes back to that thing you were saying about sharing a little bit, is a part of a genuine connection you feel with another human being is by sharing with them. That's how you feel close. I actually brought up last time how you feel close to someone else is by sharing. Yeah. Right? Or vice versa. So if that is now missing and lacking within a relationship that you've created with someone, like you said, there's a problem. Right? So if you're no longer sharing, or meaning you're not communicating, yeah, there's a problem. I personally would know there's a problem if my girl was sharing a lot and would tell me about her day and go into it and all that. Then all of a sudden she's like, "Yeah, it was fine." Like, yeah,
bro,
you already need
my heart is racing, bro.
Yeah. Especially immediately. You know something's up,
bro. Instantly,
something is up. What do you think?
Because I like it when you tell me everything.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I
tell me this small. Yeah, man. Tell me everything.
No, you guys are completely right. Like 100%. I feel like when there's just you can just visually see there's no care anymore. Because to like, a relationship, you gotta care. Like, that's your person. How would you not care about everything they're going through or just anything? I think that once that's gone, gotta go look for a new boo.
Yeah. I think the whole idea of caring is, especially to be like in a relationship in a romantic setting, is to be intentional about the things you're doing. Right? So like she said, if that's lacking,
gots to go. Something's
going on. I don't know what. Something's not right.
So he's the other man.
That's crazy.
Hey man, look.
That's crazy.
Right. No man, New Year's resolutions. Have you thought about it this time?
Bro, I'm trying to grow this pod. I'm trying to grow this pod this year, man. Like big jump this year. That's like the top of that's the top of it for me. Because it's for me, like I realized how I feel like last year I realized how important the pod is to me, and like there's a lot of things I realized when it came to the podcast. One, how much I cared about it. And 2, how much potential it actually has, right? And not just from my own personal belief, but from things I've heard from so many people. And we kind of talked about the idea of hearing things and not even seeing it for the person who's saying it, but getting the message. And this is more of a spiritual thing. But like I said, when it comes to life, like there's different planes. You know what I mean? I feel like when you're hearing this thing about, keep going. You guys have a lot of potential. Like what you guys are doing is very good. I'm hearing this message on a spiritual level as well. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's literally top of my top. So when me and Dogs have our meeting about where we're headed this year, that's a big one.
Yeah, you still have to pick. I said it. How do you?
Are you gonna say something? No. I said I pick up.
Yeah. Well, here we go. Time.
Here we go. Friday. I said Friday at. Let me check my.
There we go. Rubbish guy. When you ask girls on dates, how does it go?
Are you asking me personally?
Yes.
He got me. I can't lie. I set a time. I reserve a time because
I'm now you can't set a time for a meeting. Huh?
Friday at
Jesus. Do you know what it's like talking to? I don't even know what it's like talking to, bro.
Me?
I'm talking to AI when I'm talking to you, bro.
No.
Asking me bad questions. See, set a time, a day. I will be there. How many times do I have to say it, bro?
But asking you bad questions is not a bad thing, though.
It's wasting my time, bro.
How? I'm just a very curious person. I need to know everything.
You can also see you have. It's not asking. You're dancing around the bush. That's not asking questions. See, be brave. See, this year What I want from you, be a man. Be a man. Set a time and a date. If I say it doesn't work, set another time and a date.
All right.
That's it. Straight out.
Is that your New Year's resolution for me?
Yes. In fact, it's recorded. No. For me, New Year's resolution. Yeah, it's just to ask more, man. Ask more. Anything that I feel like I need is to ask and not feel any type of way about it. Yeah. Yeah, find a wife as well.
Inshallah, you guys both have best of luck with that. But I would say my New Year's resolution, I try not to make any, but I would say pray more. Like, I think I can get anything through prayer, so I don't really...
Word.
Amen.
Yeah.
Word.
Like, I went into 2024 praying, and that was my first time not really going out or anything during the New Year's. Like, I haven't gone out for a long time, but yeah, I came into it praying, so that's the only thing I want to work on.
That's a good one. Take notes. Take notes, people. Alright, this is BlackerTheBerry.
Sweeter the juice.
So,